I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Tuesday, November the 8th, brought to you in part by VitaFirm Conserve. Conserve spending without sacrificing performance. VitaFirm Conserve is an economical line of vitamin and mineral supplements that supports the health and condition of the whole herd. You can't go wrong with VitaFirm, guys. Go to vitafirm.com. Please vote today if you haven't already done it. And remind other people to vote and get people to vote that are having trouble getting there. This is very, very important. I mean, it seems like every time we have a big voting cycle come around, they say it's the most important we've ever had. I sure think this one is. We've got to vote out. We can't get the leader of the administration. We can't get Mr. Magoo out. He's got another 2 years, but we can clip his wings and let him go back in the basement and sit for a couple of years until we can get a strong leader in there. But we can vote out the majority in the Congress. We can get that back in our favor. People that are thinking, seriously and thinking right. We've got leadership in there now that have a majority and can really push around anything that they want. And they're so preoccupied with the Green New Deal and murdering unborn babies, and they just turn a blind eye to the problems that we have in the economy, the problems at the border, the problems with crime and everything. We've got to get a majority back in there of real thinking people that have a little bit of common sense. But you guys, we've got to do it. This is our only opportunity. We can bitch and moan about it all the time, but when you get the chance to vote, we got to vote, and we just have to assume that they are going to count the votes, legally and fair. We don't know for damn sure. But we just hope that, and that's the only thing that we can believe in. We just have to hope that. But this country is going to hell in a handbasket, and if we don't get something done, it's just going to get worse. And I don't know how terrible worse is. I think some of our enemies have already kind of got an eye on us now, watching us struggle the way that we are. So it could get a hell of a lot worse. But, we've got people that are raising cattle still. We've gone through extreme drought, 100-year drought, in many parts, heavy production parts of the country. Mississippi rivers is at historically low levels. We've got a lot of things that are up against the cattle producers. They're selling cattle of all classes at prices that are probably in the top 2 or 3 that they've ever sold them before, and a lot of them still not making any money because the cost of our inputs has gone up so much. And this inflation that these producers are caught up in continues to climb. And a lot of them don't see a way out. They don't see a light at the end of the tunnel. So they're actually thinking about getting out, and a lot of them are getting out, and we lose producers every day. But we got to start with some better leadership in this country. But I told you I watch the daily livestock report put out by the CME group every day, and the one that they put out at the beginning of this week was very interesting. And I told you guys several months ago that we are on track for a record export of beef this year, and you guys all said, "Oh yeah, but we import." Well, we import almost as much beef as we export. Not more, but we import almost as much beef as we export. It's cheaper stuff. We export more higher dollar stuff. We import more cheaper stuff to add value to all the trim that we have, because we have cattle that are so much fatter than most places in this world. But through the third quarter, our exports are up 4.6%, including a pretty good increase in exports to places in Asia, including South Korea and China, which, you know, if we can get that deal really going, I mean, the sky's the limit for exporting product into there. But our imports are up a little bit more than that, up 6.4%. The thing that's going to trouble you a little bit is the fact that our imports of beef from Brazil are up 73.3%. There's the problem with letting two of your big four come from outside this country, and they come from Brazil. And so they've got cheap product down there. They're bringing it in as a high rate of speed, and in adding value to that and making more money. But tell you what, that's kind of a slap in the face to us that our imports from Brazil are up 73.3%. Well, we got two of our big four beef companies that are based out of Brazil. But I tell you what, it must be very stressful to be in the leadership of those big protein providers. Just a couple of months ago, I told you about the Beyond Meats executive that evidently got drunk at a football game in Arkansas, had a little road rage in the parking area there, got in a fight and tried to bite somebody's nose off. Well, here just recently, now we found out that the chief financial officer of Tyson, actually from the family, John Tyson, there in Arkansas, in the same region, that's where everything goes. That's why we haven't been able to get anything done in our transparency of beef pricing, is because of the senator there that's from Arkansas, bought and paid for by all these other protein providers. But the CFO of Tyson there, John Tyson, was arrested for public intoxication and criminal trespassing. Apparently he come home intoxicated, or thought he was home, and went into the wrong house, went ahead and crawled in bed and went to sleep. A lady that owned the house come in there and was wondering what he was doing there. Now, I can believe that. Some of these cookie cutter neighborhoods that they put in, I've often thought, you know, if you come home with a belt full and you got in the wrong house, you know, it could happen. But I'm thinking that John Tyson probably had a little fancier house than this lady's house that he decided to crawl in and go to bed in. But nonetheless, he thought it was his, evidently, and they said they were trying to question him and he kept trying to pass back out. But must be very stressful being a top executive of one of those big protein providers. Let's talk about your board to start the week. December live cattle futures up $1.40 at 153.05. Nice recovery there. February up 65 cents at 155.02. Back months on live cattle down 32 cents to up 55. November feeder cattle up 40 cents at 178.22. January up 30 cents at 179.92. Back months up 35 cents to up 70. And you think, well, the grains must have been down some, and they were. Chicago Board of Trade corn futures down 5 1/4 cents at 675 3/4. Beans down 11 1/2 at 14.40. Weighted average on last week's negotiated fed cattle trade out of your 5-area feeding region totaled 73,900 head, pure negotiated, not near enough, but more than the 67,300 we had the previous week, not quite as much as the 80,500 head we had the same week a year ago. Live sales of steers and heifers last week, all combined in your 5-area feeding region, ranged in price from $145 to $155. You think, wow, that's quite a spread, $10 spread there. There was only 207 head at $145. The next closest was $147.50, and there was less than 1,000 at $147.50. It was mostly $150 to $153. In the Southern Plains, it was $150, which was steady. Northern Plains, $152 to $153 mostly. which was steady. We did have over 4,700 head at 154 and nearly 2,100 head at 155. But your weighted average on live steers in your 5-area feeding region was 151.98, up just 3 cents per hundredweight. Nothing, basically steady. Dress sales were higher though. Dress sales steers and heifers last week ranged from 236 to 245, with a weighted average on dress steers of 241.90. That was up $2.05 a hundred. Pretty good. Haven't seen a lot of trade being generated on a dress basis, not as much as we typically are. Some guys shy away from that. There are some plants, just the way that they slaughter those cattle, their dressing percentage is not nearly as good, and so they don't want to sell them dressed. And they hate to price them dressed, because then if one of those packers comes that doesn't have the better dressing percentage comes in, they really don't want to sell cattle to them. Plus you have to deliver them most of the time whenever you sell them dressed. But have heard of late that JBS in Grand Island has made some improvements to their kill floor, and the dressing percentage is much improved there. So if that's a place you've been shying away from, heard some guys that have sent some cattle there recently and were much more pleased with their dressing percentage. But nationwide, we sold 88,300 head, pure negotiated. About 22% of those, or just under 20,000 head of them, were for the 15 to 30 day delivery, which is a little less than normal. So that's good. They're not getting cattle to set us up here, but no better than we negotiate them. I guess they don't have to do that. We are so short bought. We were short bought. Your packers were so short bought. They were short bought last week. Going to be short bought again this week, and then we're expecting them to pull back on their kills there as we get into some of the holiday seasons, and we're going to miss the tightest supplies of market ready cattle gaining any market position here. But hopefully the guys will dig in this week. 88,300 pure negotiated, 45,600 negotiated grid. Most of that negotiated grid is in live, and most of it in the southern plains. Tell you how much negotiation there was. Your weighted average on all your negotiated steers was 150.07. Lots of negotiating there. It's just whatever the market is, guys. I'll give you a few kickers. 10,900 head of forward contracts. Formula sales added up to be 282,700 head. Box beef cutout values started the week higher. Choice cuts up 80 cents at 264.55. Selects up 402 at 235.92. Now we did see on your slaughter that on Monday we only had estimated slaughter of 123. We've been going 125, 127, 128. So they may be pulling back just a little bit on the harvest there, and we'll see that. But they've still got a big appetite for product right now. Let's talk about what else is going on. Beaver County Stockyards. My buddy Jeff Slatton there, and he and I have become pretty good friends over the last year or so, and it's a family operation there. His wife runs the office. He pretty much manages things. He's got one hell of a crew. His father-in-law is a partner there. He's involved. His brother-in-law is a partner in there. He's involved. And it's just kind of a family atmosphere around there. He pays his help good, so they're happy to be there. He doesn't have to wonder if they're going to show up. They would take a bullet for him in most cases. Not a lot of places to get work like that around Beaver, Oklahoma, but the guys that work there are proud to work there, and they like their jobs, and they like working for the family there. They got a good sale here on Tuesday. It was just there last week. A lot of you saw it. I had a Facebook post on it. Somebody even put a TikTok post of me selling cattle there at Beaver County Stockyards. But it's really a unique place there, and if you haven't been there, you need to go. If you're thinking about sending cattle in there, I recommend it. The decor in the auction arena is really cool, and it's kind of like a sale barn broke out inside of a Cracker Barrel. if you will, because of the cool signs and things that he collects and hangs up in there. But I really like it there at Beaver County Stockyards. He's got about 8 loads of true yearling steers here on Tuesday, 2 loads of true yearling heifers, a lot of nice calves. Not most of them in loads, but you can sure put some nice loads together without having to buy too many consignments. Got one real nice consignment of some red Angus calves, be all weaned, mostly weighing in the 6s there. So check out Beaver County Stockyards. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market. Let's start the week. Real-time index late in the day on Monday at 175.64, down just 4 cents from the end of last week. So basically steady after your big Monday sales. Let's look at your big sales on Monday. Okay, Oklahoma National Stockyards in Oklahoma City, 11,000. Good run for them. Feeder steers unevenly steady. Feeder heifers steady to $3 higher. Steer calves unevenly steady. Heifer calves steady to $5 higher. Lets me know that the buyers, both calves and yearlings, are price conscious, but they still want numbers. So they're looking at the heifers that look like they're not spending quite as much money there. But I had no idea, and I don't think anybody else did, of what the trend was going to be in Oklahoma City to start the week. But not too bad, running steady to higher. Joplin Regional Stockyards, 7,600 head, and they kind of had a special there. Tell you what, had a nice run of cattle there, 7,600. Had a lot of yearlings in there, over 30 loads of yearlings. Had a lot of nice calves, some big reputation consignments there. And then they had a market reporter that totally dropped the ball. And you guys probably get tired of hearing about that, but that's what I did for most of my professional life, is train people to report livestock auctions. And one of the main places that I wanted the market to be right was Joplin Regional Stockyards. Thank God I had Jim Powell and Rick Huffman, longtime Missouri Department of Agriculture market reporters, that were in there to make a fair conservative call. They've got people in there now that don't get the training that they needed. He called that market from steady to $12 higher. I'm glad he was able to pin that down. He called one particular draft $17 higher. Now he called that draft fancy. So, and I'm going to give you that draft. It was a hell of a nice set of cattle there. 210 head, 729 pound steers, bring 196 and a quarter. He didn't have 210 head of fancy 729 pound steers last week to compare. So how did he know that it was $17 higher? He flagged them fancy. When you flag them fancy, they left the price range because the buyers wanted them that bad. And you can't call the market off of them unless you had something that was similar that you could compare them to the previous week. But the fella has not had sufficient training. I went through a lot of training. I spent years in training. I spent a whole year with Bob Bromer up in South St. Paul, Minnesota, and we called the nation's slaughter cow market. And we would sit and scratch our head for an hour on whether we was going to call that daily cow market mostly steady or fully steady, or steady to firm or mostly steady to firm. It was a big deal when you use those words. It tells people what's going on with the market. But now, hell, let's just call one bunch $17 higher. What the hell? You know, what does that tell people? It doesn't help people at all. It absolutely doesn't. And I don't know how much attention you guys pay to government market reports. Maybe you think that it's a robot that does them, but it's a person there that's supposed to be sufficiently trained. And evidently they don't take any pride in that at all. I'll quit talking about that. How about Faith Livestock Auction, Faith, South Dakota, 8,000 head there. Check out the automated market report. You see 1,931 head of 4-weight steer calves, average 454 pounds, with a weighted average price of $233.22. I wasn't there, but that's an automated market report. Everything goes in there. There was over 1,900 head in the lot, and they sold $2 lower than last week when they had a similar run and a similar amount of cattle in there. I can trust that. They were about $2 lower on your 4-weight steer calves. 2,862 head of 5-weight steer calves averaged 553 with a weighted average price of $210.18. That was about $4 lower than last week, and I told you they've been peeling back a little bit on those prices that they're getting up there in the northern plains and all the sales, guys. Heifers, 1,166 head of 4-weight heifers averaged 455 with a weighted average price of $199.39. That was about $1 lower. Stick out for sale in Faith Livestock, Faith, South Dakota, was 62 head of Pee-wee steers, weighed 334 at $271. Wow. How about your Zoetis stick out sale of the day? Lahana Livestock, or Winter Livestock in Lahana, 5,700 head there. My buddy there, he had a good sale. Big time special, one of their Monday specials there. And you get in there and you look at the market reporter there, who was much better than the one in Joplin, said the calves were steady to $3 higher. Pee-wee calves, $5 to $10 higher. Let's talk about your automated market report there that I show you from Cattle Market Central. Showed 1,036 head of 5-weight steers, average 543. The weighted average price of $198.85. 1,238 head of 6-weight steer calves, average $177.80. This is in the southern plains, guys. Those cattle are coming off of the elevation there. Some of them had snow on their backs, but this is not up in Nebraska or South Dakota. This is the southern plains. 532 head of 4-weight heifer calves, average $459. Weighted average price of $186.26. 867 head of 5-weight heifer calves, average $547. The weighted average price of $167.43. And you think, man, that's quite a discount on those heifers. You'll love the quality. Going to have another sale next week. Fix that, guys. 458 head of 6-weight heifers, average $634. The weighted average price on the 6-weight heifers of $161.30. Several individual quotes. How about Western Oklahoma Livestock Auction near Clinton, Oklahoma, right on I-40 there. Sold 60 head of 834-pound steers at $176.50. How about Mid-South Regional Livestock Center in Unionville, Tennessee. Massey Brothers sell 3 loads of heifers there. 175 head of heifers, about 80% black, few colored cattle on them, but good commodity cattle there. Weighed 784 at $158.50. But most impressive quote that I saw anywhere on Monday, your Macrocin no BS top quote for the day, come out of Tina Livestock Market, Tina, Missouri, extremely rural northwest Missouri right there. My buddy Dwayne Penny, formerly of St. Joe Stockyards, used to sort and sell my cattle for me. He's selling his customers' cattle there at Tina. He sold Brian Hunt's cattle from Bramer, Missouri. He brought in some home-raised heifers. They were not Bramers. 60 head of big fancy black heifers weigh 886 at $172.50. And that's your feeder flash for Tuesday.